Here we go. This is Primal Television, and we've got a nice interview with Matt here. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Matt Geeling. I'm a commercial photographer working in advertising. I specialise in product, automotive and beauty.
Perfect. And what made you start a career in photography, and what was your first move?
Yeah, my career started off, as I think most do, many years ago as a hobby. And I studied advertising in South Africa, and basically, after that process, I realised that wasn't a job for me. Didn't want to be behind a desk all day. And I took the leap of faith and decided to turn my hobby into a career. So, yeah.
Do you find you are doing most of the work yourself, or how many people would you say on average is involved in a professional high-end fashion or beauty shoot?
Yeah, again, that's open-ended to the brief, but I mean, personally, I work with my teams about 4 or 5 people. That's myself, my digital assistant, my lighting assistant, hair and makeup, and a stylist.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And getting back to the way you started photography, what photographers inspired you to get where you are today?
Sure. Yeah, that's a long list, which is ever-changing, actually. My top photographers that inspire me must be Annie Leibovitz, David Pryor, Bill Cahill, and, of course, Nick Knight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Love Nick Knight.
Yeah, it's great.
Looking at retouching, you're obviously a very good retoucher. How long did it take you to learn those skills?
Retouching I actually started before my sort of photography days. So, I mean, I've been doing that now for about 7-8 years. So it sort of accumulates over time, you know, you're forever learning and inventing something new.
So how long would you spend roughly on like a portrait of a model in a studio, on like a decent brief? It's quite a nice client. How do you reckon that would spend a few days or more? Or?
Yeah, the hardest thing about retouching is skin, as you might know. You know, you've got to work non-destructively. That means leaving all the detail intact. Every single pore that was captured must be left there. No smudging, no blurring, none of that. So that can be very time-consuming if done right. So a close-up sort of beauty portrait shot, you're looking at maybe about 2 hours. Okay. Maybe 1 to 2 hours per image.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Where would you say draws the line with retouching? Like, is there a stage too far that you would go, or would you like to keep it in some kind of realm?
Yeah, it's a good question, that, and one that people often bring up, and you see these sort of debates online about the digital process and all that. Again, it depends on the brief. You know, if I'm doing a modeling portfolio or something for somebody in that aspect, then it can't be over-retouched. You can't change too much of the features or anything like that, because at the end of the day, you're doing something for them and it has to look like them to sell that person. But if I'm doing a campaign for a brand or a company where they want, you know, the best and the most out of something, then I'll change somebody else, squeeze the cheeks in, make the eyes bigger, the lips more juicy, you know, change them slightly, never too much. But it's a tricky one. It's one of those, you sort of just, what is right, what is wrong, really. It's just basically what you want the end result to be and what the client wants.
Do you plan, when you're doing a photo shoot, do you plan your editing previous, or kind of tweak it afterwards? I'll, in the pre-production process, like when I'm conceptualizing the idea and I get that sort of like end image in my mind, I will have a treatment that I want to apply to it. And sometimes that'll change the last minute. You know, you put it on this like great idea that you had, you lay it over and you edit it and retouch, and then you look at it and think, no, that's not really working. So it can change, but yeah, generally I have that sort of in mind from the beginning. Okay, fair enough. Where do you see the photography industry as it is now? Where do you see it in about 10 years or so? Do you think it's changing for the better, or do you think it's getting a bit...
I think, you know, we are where we are today because of the advance in technology. Digital camera and all the equipment we have now has really evened the playing field, because it's a lot easier for anybody to pick up a camera and learn. I mean, if you set aside 2 months, anybody can learn how to use a camera. Quicker than that even, you know, a week if you had a crash course. So in that sense, it's exciting, it's great, everybody can do it, and you can get into it really quickly. But it's evened out the playing field where there's now so much competition, and technology is always advancing. So I think that's not going to change. If anything, that's going to get worse. So
do you think there's anything in particular that is harming the industry? So would you kind of steer photographers away from working for free, or would you say there's something that could change for the better?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody in the beginning, you have to work for free. When you're building your book and your portfolio, you have to. That's the only way to go about it, you know, because you don't possess the skills to start charging somebody. But then you sort of cross over that threshold into the point where, like, right, well, now I know what I'm doing now, and you start charging people, and generally people come in and they undercut the market, which, you know, everybody suffers from long term. But yeah, my advice would just be to do your research, chat to people, figure out what your costs are and your pricing, how it all works, because at the end of the day, all the photographers, no matter where you are in the world, whatever city you're living in, you do affect each other.
Do you see a need for medium format when there's cameras now capable of exceeding 50 megapixels? Do you see it as a need for a medium format still in the industry?
Yeah, I do. I personally don't own one, although I'm saving up for one. But yeah, no, of course. I mean, there is. You're looking at these large format billboards and stuff. You need the megapixels behind it to print in that large scale. But for me, and I think a lot of photographers, it's or at least right now, it's not necessary. You know, a lot of the work I do is for online publications, websites, or magazines, which are obviously printed A4, or small size billboards. So I don't use medium format. I mean, I've used it once or twice for a couple of campaigns, but other than that, yeah, I don't. There is a need for it in the industry, but not me personally right now.
Yeah. So would you say there was a specific style to medium format for people that do own one, or the high-end photographers that do use one on a day-to-day basis? Would you say there's a specific style that you can see through that camera, or not at all?
Yeah, I think there is. It's. I don't think it's very apparent to everybody. And if there is a certain style, and like you can see when something's been shot medium format, of course. Yeah.
And would you say qualifications matter in today's photography world?
I don't have any qualifications, I'll tell you that right now. I think that experience counts for a lot more. If somebody comes to me with an amazing CV and like highly qualified, of course that does count for a lot. You have to respect that. But I personally believe at the end of the day, all that piece of paper is a promise that they can do what you need them to do. But if somebody comes to you with an amazing portfolio and they've created it and done the work, then that doesn't promise me, that shows me that you can do it and that it's been done.
Okay, perfect. I've noticed quite a lot of your images are on Instagram, as use that as kind of a little bit of a portfolio.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good tool? Do you think Instagram's a really good tool to have your portfolio, not rather than a website, but it's all connected? Would you say it's a really good tool to maybe get work? Have you got any work off of it, or?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think Facebook and Instagram have been my most successful online tools. I've got a lot of jobs off Facebook and Instagram just by having my pictures out there, keeping the viewers updated and that sort of thing. So I think it's quite an essential nowadays for a photographer to have that, because it gets you work, and if it doesn't get you work, then it's getting you exposure, which hopefully leads to work. So it's important, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Do you think, well, how important do you think it is to keep up a regular commitment to your social network and let your viewers see your work all the time, or do you think you should leave it hanging a little bit? Or
yeah, no, it's important. I know we were chatting about this earlier. It's very important. That's something I'm actually not too good at, just because there's other parts of the business that you're working on. You don't always have time to be posting something every day. But yes, that is very important. If you're posting one thing a week or once every 2 weeks, it's not good enough. Your viewers lose interest. You're not creating hype around what you're doing in your business and that sort of thing. So it's very important, if you're going to have these platforms, that you monitor them and you post regularly.
Perfect. Well, wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for talking to us today.